While this summit takes place as the UK prepares to leave the EU, we are and will remain a steadfast partner to our friends and allies.
France gather to discuss security issues. Brexit is top of mind. The two countries reaching agreements on defence and migrant issues, and Britain continuing to push for a comprehensive free trade agreement with the EU. But while the British government prepares for a post-Brexit reality, there are those who still haven't given up the fight to stay in the Union. The CBC's Margaret Evans has more from London.
Westminster, home to the British Parliament, where despite her trials and tribulations, the Prime Minister, Theresa May, has managed to deliver a message of rare consistency in politics, at least on one issue, Brexit.
From which there can be no turning back. Brexit means Brexit.
Or does it? In recent weeks, momentum has begun to build in favour of another referendum, giving hope to those who would see Britain remain in the European Union.
But talk of a second referendum has come from an unlikely quarter. Mr. Brexit himself, Nigel Farage, who has made a career out of hating the EU.
They will go on whinging and whining and moaning all the way through this process. I think if we had a second referendum on EU membership, we'd kill it off for a generation.
EU politicians responded by reminding Brits that it isn't too late to stop Brexit if they want to.
We here on the continent haven't had a change of heart. Our hearts are still open to you.
So, has Britain really had a change of heart? Bookies here will offer you 5-to-1 odds that there will be a second referendum by the end of next year. But the Brexiteers aren't buying it.
It would be an undermining of democracy. The British people have voted.
As for Farage and his referendum call,
I imagine that it's frustration as much as anything else, and also warning that there's a possibility that there will be another referendum, and therefore that the Leave campaign needs to be prepared for it.
But that's an admission in itself, one the Remain camp has latched onto.
As day follows day, so there's more information about the great damage that Brexit might do. And the most important thing is that public opinion is swinging against it.
Maybe. Recent opinion polls suggest a majority of Brits would like a second vote if Theresa May fails to reach a negotiated exit from the EU. But the country is still essentially divided.
I think the decision's been taken. It's time to get on with it.
I'd love a second referendum.
And we haven't even talked about the Labour opposition here. Much of the party hankering to stay in the EU, the Labour leader, Jeremy Corbyn, rejecting a referendum outright, in an echo of Theresa May still in charge and insisting there can be no do-over. Margaret Evans, CBC News, London.